Like me working in physics field for decades, I just got to recognize there's something fundamental wrong, which something happened, in Terrence's interview, he mentioned about something fundamental wrong with quantum physics, which I actually agree with.
What's that?
Let me first talk about the first thing. The first thing, talking about the fundamental wrong, this is a secret to current physical community, is something we get wrong by we made electron model wrong. Electron is elementary particles. In physics, is found that elementary particle cannot be subdivided, do not have another detailed structure or something. And if we get this wrong, and what happens next? So if we get the electron wrong, I will explain why we get it wrong, if you have the time.
Yeah, I can help with that too.
And then if we get the electron wrong, we get called planetary atomic model. The model with similar model is planetary with orbiting free electrons. We get this model wrong. So what I find is there is no free orbiting electrons around the nucleus at near the speed of light forever, constantly. That's completely wrong. So what's the implication of this one? So first, we got the electron wrong, and then we got the model wrong. What happens if this atomic model have no orbiting electrons, no free, called with the principal orbit? Entire quantum mechanics built on this model
is wrong.
Were completely out of water.
Because their foundation on the electron, their view of the electron, they saw it as a particle, as an individual thing, when it's an entire cloud. It's an energy, it's a wave of energy. That's what the electron is. It's the discharge coming from accumulated electrical potential. The discharged electricity, the devitalized electricity, is what we're calling this electron or this magnetism, and they're seeing it as a particle when it's just a waveform. It's a pressure condition. It's a resonant thing that can be manipulated by other frequencies. That you don't need actual force, but you can create the conditions to change and affect a waveform.
What are you going to show something? You brought some props?
I'm going to expand my statement, say why we get the electron wrong and why it's so significant.
Okay.
So I believe from the 85, the French physicist Coulomb proposed the Coulomb's law. It says there are two types of charges. One is negative, one is positive.
Mm-hmm.
And the like charge repel, unlike charge attract. This is a fundamental law. It's a great discovery. However,
it's wrong.
The mistake is he described the two charges carried by two separate particles.
Instead of having everything being both positive, having both attractive and detractive things. It's a dipole. It's not a monopole. And the way they're seeing it, how can something, this is something that always got me, how can you can say something is charged, positively charged, how can it be negatively charged? How can you negatively charge something? A negative charge is a discharge, means that it's coming out of it in comparison to attracting into it. So their entire terms of a negatively charged particle is wrong. It's a discharging particle.
Can let me strengthen your idea?
Yes, I'm sorry.
This is a brilliant, a discovery and the root cause of our physics. So now people would say, how do you know electron? How can we get the electron wrong? Entire modern technology is built on electrons, right? So that's why all the interpretations are needed to be rewritten. So let's assuming electron is negative charged and proton is a positive charge. Now, what happens if we split electron into two halves? Hypothetically split, geometrically split. What do we get? Two negative charge particles?
Two negative charge particles that come together and make a positive.
put two negative charge particles together?
No. Negative things are always going to push each other away. They're always going to push. They're always going to push each other away.
Violate Coulomb's law. So it cannot exist in this universe, or if there's other universe.
It cannot.
Ever.
And think about Kirchhoff's law regarding the black body. Now, this is where Planck, if you could look up Kirchhoff, this is where the Planck model came from. Max Planck was working off of his model, and part of the radiation from Kirchhoff's law was that a black body, it's always going to radiate into these individual cavities, and these cavities are not going to be dependent on the temperature of the walls. They're going to be dependent upon the temperature of what came in there. That was all wrong. Kirchhoff's entire law is wrong, and that's what Planck was based off of. But you look at the Planck model and think about it. It talks about if you want to do a Planck charge and all of these things, you have to use gravity. Gravity is included in there, and the speed of light is included in there. But gravity at the Planck charge, at the Planck point, is not supposed to be in effect. It's not supposed to. When you get down to the quantum area, gravity is not something that's able to affect those small areas. So why is gravity part of Planck's constant or the speed of light, which we know changes constantly depending upon the medium that it's going in there. So having the speed of light as a constant, having gravity as a constant in Planck's charge lets you know that this is the Planck's charge, that Planck's, the entire Planck number is false, because they've changed the speed of light. Now they've attached it to another thing in order, instead of, so that the speed of light doesn't fluctuate, they've attached it to the measurement itself. So it's always going to be the measurement. That's wrong. That's fudgery. Rupert Sheldrake talked about that, about morphisms, with the speed of light being fudged and changed. So all of their principles are seemingly fudged.
Who has questioned this over the years? Like what scientists?
Dirac, Feynman, all of them questioned it. That's why they were like, all of this renormalization makes this stuff bad.
So now you are running at the speed of light. Okay, I'm gonna just try to bring the audience on. So if we say it's wrong, very easy to say. What is right? What is really, we talk about the electron, really what it is? He mentioned about it. So if we cannot have a single charge particle, what happens? The so-called electron, oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Are carried both positive and negative charge as one particle. Now I want to question the audience. What kind of particle in this world? I know everybody since 3 years old. You know this term. What carry both of charge? Do you have a guess?
Hydrogen. Everything.
Oh, you are talking about in chemical terms.
Sorry.
I'm talking about in terms of what type of a particle. Not that time. Magnets.
Yes. Magnets
is the one it carries both negative and positive charges, and I will explain this, some misconception about the charge and the magnetism. But so-called the electron is actually dipolar magnets.
Why does this matter? What
Great
does this
questions.
reveal?
Let me expand. Let's say,
Please.
because of we assuming electron is a negative charge particle, so then this is a great Niels Bohr build his Bohr's model, right?
Yeah.
Build the Bohr's model, say, hey, we have a positive charge nucleus, and we have a negative charge the electron. How can we measure them? Because we assume atom is neutralized, right? How can we measure them with a negative particle and positive particle? And the one assumption is that they cannot in contact. Once they are in contact, that's create matter-antimatter annihilation. So if they are not in contact, how does atomic model has to work to prevent negative charge and the neutron and protons in the nucleus attract them each other? It has to be rotated. It has to rotate, create a revolution, or we can spin.
And this is what I was saying. The spin is not because of some spinners. The spin is coming from the balance of action and reaction. Because of the resistance, the spin has to occur. Because everything in the universe is balanced, in order for it to interact, it has to spin around it, and which means that it is a finite and confined space, because otherwise it would just keep moving away from each other. But the fact that it spins tighter.
So rotation is required to create a centrifugal force to balance the electromagnetic attraction. So that's where comes the Bohr's model. And this model is built based on negative charge particle and the positive charge nucleus. If both nucleus and the electron protons are magnetic particles, are they going to have this rotating? Do they need this rotating? No. They are naturally connected. So atomic model, so what I found, atomic model has no rotation part whatsoever in atomic model. There's no rotation. It only what the parts may vibrate.
It's all vibratory oscillations.
That's how light's created, due to vibration.
Everything
waves.
is resonance. Nothing. There is no solid matter. It's not a force-based universe. It's a harmony-based universe, and therefore that's why everything has the prime resonant frequency by which it bonds or break bonds. You can manipulate anything into anything else by creating the right harmonic or resonant conditions. That's everything that we've been talking about. We don't need, the reason it's important is now you're able to manipulate the universe without hurting the universe. We don't have to use barbaric measures anymore. We can now take the subspace in energy that's coming from another thing, they've gotten rid of the ether. Now this entire thing is, so they've created all these other particles to carry these charges. All these particles to carry these charges that used to be carried by the ether. They got rid of the ether, and then it was like, but light has to be carried on a wave. The ether has always been that wave, but what we've proven with the wave conjugations, back to the other question you asked, the wave conjugations, the linchpin, and the all shapes, mirrored all shapes, these create the conditions of the ether. They define the ether in itself that allows all this stuff to move. And what they're angry about is not that I just have the patents, but also the super grand unifying supersymmetry plus now the equations that prove everything that I've been saying. That's why I wanted you to see the papers before. Yeah. And the three-body problem, solving that now with the idea of the proton and the energy of the electron. Now we're able to manipulate the universe's energy. By rebuilding the planet Saturn without gravity, now we can use that, now we can manipulate the energy of the universe to create any condition we want. Now that's the end of oil. That's the end of big tech because they have to change everything out. But that's going to happen anyway because we're behind the gun.
Are you considered a rebel amongst your peers? Would they consider you a rebel or no?
I believe some generally outside my circle, they, because I basically keep my discovery in-house and everything